Good day, everyone. Welcome to The Real Truth. I'm Tommy Spina, and as you know, in Season 2, we've been discussing the development and evolution of Alabama's medical cannabis law and what appears to be the closest we've ever been to a reality. And I have tried to get every aspect of it discussed by people that are in the trench actually doing the work to make medical cannabis a reality in the state of Alabama, to fulfill the needs of patients that desperately need it and want it. And apparently our legislative body has given us an opportunity to do so, although it has not been without legal hurdles to overcome. And it has moved at a snail's pace, but I would think it's not as snailish as any other, or just as snailish as any other state, if snailish is a word. It is now. Today's guest are two people, Rusty Sutterlin, PhD, so I'll call him Dr. Sutterlin, and Jason Cobb, and they are processors of a company called Organic Harvest. Now, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful day. It's starting to warm up.
You know, I put on my overcoat this morning, and I got out of the car to walk in the courthouse, and I said, I don't need this today. So I took it off and left it in the car. So,
well, hopefully we're about over our 2 weeks of winter.
Well, I think not. So, I'm going to call you Dr. Sutherland, so the listeners will be able to distinguish who's talking when they're talking.
Thank you. So
we don't have cameras up here. Tell us how you ended up getting into this, and what exactly is the role of a processor, or if Jason needs to be the one to start that conversation, the same question I would ask of you. It's okay to talk at the same time. Well, it's not okay to talk at the same time, but it's okay for you to talk to each other as if I weren't here. So tell me what a processor does.
Absolutely. Well, I will let Jason describe what a processor does, and then I can describe how I got into the
Understood. Well, as far as the processor, we purchase the biomass from the cultivator.
All right. Freeze frame. Biomass is plant?
That's what I'm going to call. Yes, correct.
So you purchase
We purchase the plants from the actual cultivator.
After they've been cultivated?
Correct.
So you're not buying like a root ball. You're buying what comes to you.
The flower.
Is the actual flower that we cannot dispense.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right,
yes,
go ahead.
So we will purchase that material from the cultivator and then use the transporter to ship it to us and from the cultivator to the processor. And we will take control over that biomass or the plant itself. And then we will take the plant and process that to extract the molecules of the THC that we're going to be using for patient care. The THC is what we're using for the cannabinoid, basically, from that standpoint. And after that, we make the medicine for our patients for the state of Alabama. And then we take that product and move it to the dispensaries.
But back to a transporter first, I would think.
Transporters are very important from to and fro.
So you deal with the transporter on both ends. The receiving, and I don't want to say the word dispensing, but the transportation of the product to the dispensary.
Correct.
So you're the middleman in that dynamic.
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Sutherland, I trust you're the guy who knows the chemistry of what comes out of that plant that's been around for an eternity.
Yes.
That we've discovered has so many different derivatives.
Absolutely. So I'm sort of an oddball in that I am not a user of the plant, never have been. But my expertise is in vegetable oils. Okay, so my PhD is actually in chemistry. I did a postdoc in chemical engineering, and I've spent my entire career around vegetable oils. So when the hemp industry started up, hemp is an oil. the cannabinoids that you're trying to extract. So I got recruited into assisting some companies to extract the hemp cannabinoids, which is very similar to that of the cannabis plant. So the main distinguishing factor of the two is that the cannabis has a THC content. I think over here we say over 0.3%.
0.3.
Yeah,
Yes,
0.3.
correct. Yes. So if it's above that 0.3%, then we call it cannabis. If it's below that, we call it hemp.
Okay. And above 0.3 is where we start getting into some psychoactive.
That's the legal
Events.
definition, I should say.
Yeah.
So, and each individual is probably different in how they respond to the quantity of THC.
So others are more sensitive to it
That's
than
right.
others. So a 0.3 might take some person a place where it wouldn't take me, for example.
That could be the case, yes.
I grew up in the 60s.
Sure.
I don't,
Yes, sir.
I don't mind saying.
Sure.
I was at Auburn University. We were still into beer.
Sure.
And at that point in time, I think marijuana was just getting on the scene.
Right.
It was the summer of love.
Right.
And all that stuff was going on the West Coast. And
Sure.
Vietnam War was going on and the protesting was going on. So a lot about our country hasn't changed much in some respects. When I did it season 1, it was about the rule of law, and I went back and read the Declaration of Independence and saw what the rules were and compared them to some of the things that were going on now, and I found that not much has changed since 1776,
Yes.
other than they use different words. Hither is what they use. So, are there different levels when you process? Are you processing a variety of strains to be ultimately dispensed to the patient? And how does the other derivative of the cannabis plant, the hemp plant, which is referred to as a cannabinoid, how does that factor into the balance between THC and some other cannabinoid?
Sure. So the plant, whether that's hemp or the marijuana plant, they're a little bit different type of plant in that they produce their oils on the outside of the flower. If you think of like soybeans, it's usually on the inside, and then you have to crush it. But really for these plants, they're on the outside of the flower, so you're just more like doing a washing, as you can think of, to remove these oils.
What do you wash it with?
We're using ethanol. So some people in Alabama would refer to that as moonshine also. But very simple ethanol. And
I spilt some once on my carpet in my car in high school, and it bleached.
okay, so
Turned green carpet into the color of this legal pad.
wow, which is yellow. So
Well, what,
Sure.
That's essentially moonshine.
That's right.
It's a grain alcohol is
got
the
it.
word I'm thinking of.
that's correct. Yep. So this oil that we're removing off of the plant, it has a bunch of different cannabinoids in it. And cannabinoids is a big word. There's a lot of different types of cannabinoids in there. Well over 100 different molecules.
Cannabinoid equals molecule. Those are the same thing.
Cannabinoid is a sort of a general class. You could think about it if I said the word car. So I'm saying cannabinoid, and then specific types of cannabinoids could be different cars. You have Ford, a GMC, a Toyota.
And does it break down even further to like a generator, a carburetor?
Maybe not that complicated. So
More broad.
that's right. Yes. Now one of the most popular cannabinoids, especially in the hemp, is one that we refer to as CBD.
Right.
Okay, and that's also in the cannabis plant too. Now the one that really, I guess the main component is a molecule called THC. THC is the molecule that people associate with getting you high. Okay? Marijuana, that's it. So obviously if a plant has more THC in it, it has a stronger effect to you. But there's all these...
a stronger psychoactive effect.
That is correct, yes. And so, but there's a lot of other different cannabinoids that's in the plant too. Some of them have different effects on you. So there's one called CBN. That CBN molecule has more of a sedentary effect. So it causes you to sort of relax and good for sleep.
So for our recreational users out there who are not interested in the medicinal value of what's happening, is that what you would refer to as sativa?
Well, they I guess for a recreational, they're definitely looking more for your higher doses of THC.
Okay, but CBN, you said it was...
that's more has... that cannabinoid has more of a relaxing effect to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So now the...
well, the recreational people use two versions, a sativa and an indica and a hybrid. We're not talking about those things in Alabama.
No.
We're talking about a different combination of cannabinoids.
Well, you can grow either type of cannabis plant, and they do have different ratios of those individual cannabinoids in there. But
it's complicated stuff.
It can be, yes, and the effect, what's referred to as the entourage effect, which is the other, how all of the molecules come together and the effect that they have. So like if you're talking about a wine, your wine is based upon all of the other smaller aromatics that's in there that gives it its specific flavor to it. So even though the core ingredient of wine is ethanol, the alcohol that has the intoxicating effect, but you have all these other ingredients to you that can change moods, different flavors, different aromas, different colors to it. So same thing with the cannabis plant here. And so, but what we're, again, the THC, that is sort of the driver, the
that is it.
guy.
At the end of the day, it's the molecules that we're taking, because this is not a smokable market, as you may know. So all it is as far as the medicine themselves. So that entourage feeling in itself is not really kind of what medical itself is for. We're just trying to deal with the patient's needs, whatever that need may be. So whether it's, the dosage itself, it's basically the THC molecules.
But how it's blended or processed, for lack of a better word,
Yes,
with another
correct.
with another cannabinoid.
Yes,
that's where the chemistry comes
do.
in.
Those other molecules, those other cannabinoids, will come along with the THC as we're doing the extraction of it. So,
Does that happen by virtue of the plant, or?
Yes.
Or I suppose there are times when what's produced has no THC, or is there always some THC?
Well, if it's got that THC that's below 0.3%, we're going to call that hemp.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I had a case a long time ago out of Hoover. My friend was the chief then, Nick Durzis, now the mayor. Mm-hmm. And they made a case against a retail store and charged them with trafficking in marijuana because they were selling jeans that were made from hemp. That case ultimately went away, as it should have been, and Nick and I laugh about it, but that's how far we've come.
Sure, yes.
But we're not talking about hemp. We're talking about some combination of THC and one of these other cannabinoids to produce a medicine to treat certain disabilities.
That's correct. Correct. Yes.
For the patient. And what primarily will we be producing, processing? Is it all going to be the same?
Well, each grower, cultivator, they have their own strand that they prefer. That's straight THC when it's coming to you. Well, they have their own marijuana plant, their own flower. And so So they'll be producing that. And each one can have its, again, its variety of different cannabinoids, different terpenes that's in it also. And the terpenes are typically what people associate with sort of that cannabis smell. It's those terpenes that's in there. So each one can have sort of that different flavor.
So
that's why you have a variety of different medicines, because you may like this particular brand versus this brand, and that's the reason why we like to have a selection of different varieties.
So you'll be processing more than one variety of medicine, for lack of a better word.
It could be brand. I mean, there may be a different brand of that nature.
Yeah. So if you have one cultivator and their strand of plant that they're growing, has it may have a higher CBD content to it. So your CBD to THC ratio could be a little bit different. Or the terpenes that it produces, the fragrance, the aroma could be a little bit different than what another cultivator is producing. So that will end up with basically different brands, different flavors that come out of that.
So when you get it, what do you do with it? So you get a flower.
Yes.
What's the first thing you do?
So it's pretty simple.
Sounds complicated.
There's science behind it, but the process is
that's
simple.
why I went to law school. No good with math, chemistry, physics. I stay away from it.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. So
that's for sure.
So, but basically we'll take the flower, the bud, and then we will simply give it what's called an ethanol wash. So we'll take that pure grain alcohol, we get it very cold, and then rinse it, and those oils will dissolve into the alcohol. And then once we have them dissolved in that alcohol, then we evaporate that alcohol off, and what you're left with is cannabis oil.
And is that done in like a vat of some sort?
Yes, yeah,
exactly.
So sometimes we use some fancy,
like wine. I
canisters.
import Sicilian wine, so some of it's in stainless steel barrels for a period of time. Some of it's in oak barrels for a period of time.
You should come when we open. You should.
Am I allowed to do that? Do I have to be strip searched or?
We'll run some background checks on you. We'll see.
We would love to have you come.
I would like to see how it works.
I think the science behind it is incredibly interesting. And I'm not a science person, but when you go into it and you just see all of the intelligence behind it, it's actually pretty incredible. I think it is. So, are
you in a position to summarize what he just said about the science behind it?
Sure. Well, the knowing. So after knowing the type of ethanol that you're using, the temperatures that you're using that at.
But you don't know that until after you do the wash, right?
Well, I've got enough experience on my sleeve.
So you have an anticipated.
That's right.
What's the word I'm looking for? What's going to be left over? Product.
That's right.
Usable product.
We call it SOPs. So we got some SOPs that we can do, and we can continue to do that, and then we hit the final.
Is that standard operating procedure?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
And then so some people when they see the extraction vessel itself, they think, wow, that's really cool and neat. And what it is this, you can think of it as basically a washing machine. Okay. And so where you put your plant in there, you fill it up with your ethanol, your grain alcohol, and then you tumble it around. All those oils dissolve into the liquid, into the ethanol, and then we pull that liquid off, and the biomass now is, it doesn't have any more oil on it, so that becomes waste. Mm-hmm. And then that ethanol, that cold ethanol that's got the oil in it, we evaporate it off. Okay, so
evaporate the ethanol
like a still
off of
exactly. So you can think of it just like a still.
Well, what's the composition of what's left over?
So that's your oils that were
so it's
previously.
An oil at that point.
That's correct. Yes, it's usually a very dark oil also. And then with the next step you would do with that oil is then you go through another type of distillation to distill that oil over. And so you can think of traditional distillation like you would find in a winery or distillery or something. And so it goes into that still pot, very dark, very thick.
Like a honey, like a nice...
dark honey.
Dark honey.
Yeah, but what comes over is a golden honey.
Is it a similar viscosity?
It's very thick. Well, depending upon what that temperature is, it can be almost rock hard. I'd say, yes. So, and
do you have to heat it in order to?
Yes, yeah. That still, the process for the still is, you have a pot at the bottom. You put and you heat that pot up, and then the liquid gets very, starts to move. It thins out, and then we usually have a vacuum that we put on it. A vacuum, so just suck a vacuum on it, and what that does is it allows these oils to boil at a lower temperature. So they go from their liquid phase to their gas phase, but at a much lower temperature. If we just kept heating it up, we would start to degrade. We would burn the oil. But we distill that oil, and then we condense it and collect it, and that's when it's that beautiful golden color. So some people would even associate it looks like Wesson oil, if I'm allowed to say that.
Sure. We're commercial free.
You see, that's what it's a process that he does and makes it into this beautiful.
Yeah. So when somebody that's they go into the extraction facility, they're going to see a lot of stainless steel equipment.
Like a winery.
Right, exactly. They're going to see that. They're going to see even some copper stuff like you would in a winery. You're going to see a lot of glassware also in there. And vacuum pumps is, going to have sort of a little manufacturing sound to it. And so.
Is it a plant that operates 24/7 or 9 to 5? Or does it just depend on supply and demand?
That's a great question. So the answer is going to be supply and demand. Now, Alabama is a fairly small market. I was doing some calculations.
It is for wine as well. 1%.
1%. Oh, wow. Okay.
Of the consumption in this country of wine is
in Alabama.
Yeah, we start. Alabama starts with beer.
Okay, sure.
That discretionary income, it's beer, brown whiskey, vodka, and then you sort of get down, cigarettes are in there somewhere, and then ultimately you get to wine. But we're way down on the totem pole.
I guess, do we hit about the 90th percentile for the beer or so?
Probably. Beer's big.
Sure, yes.
So this is fascinating, and I understand why you're a chemist, because it would take a chemist to be able to even talk about this and understand it and to break it down what I try to do is break it down in a language that the listeners can understand. So, Jason, does that mean you're more about the physical operation of getting what he has just created from A to B?
I would say it's more of a team process.
Okay.
I mean, it really, I think in our team, what makes us tick is that we all work together. We all have our own lane as far as what we feel strongly about on what direction we want to go in or whatever decisions we need to make. But at the end of the day, we work together for a common vision.
How many processors do we have?
You have 4
in the state.
In the state, and we were fortunate enough to be. We won every single round, and I think it's because of the organization that we did ahead of time, the team that we actually have, and we are an all Alabama team. We're not, they had that 50%.
We didn't drag somebody in from Truly.
No, sir. We are 100% Alabama owned. That's a distinction that we want to make sure, and we were very simple ownership. It wasn't trying to be a very complicated ownership situation. We want to make sure that the commission knew who we were, see our faces, and the fact that we do this is what we want to do, and not trying to, be something that we're not. And so we're proud of that. I mean, all Alabama owned. We're here. We go to church here. We buy groceries here. We're here in the school systems. We're here as fathers and in our community. So we're here to represent, I think, in a good fashion as far as the positive things for medical cannabis in our market. And I think that's what we do very well in our community.
Well, I would just imagine that the capital investment that you've already made is staggering. So
I will not disagree with you.
I'm figuring there are investors out there that have helped you, or groups of investors that help finance what you've got going on.
We're very fortunate.
And I'm sure the state is interested in that too, probably. Who's behind it, or are they?
Well, all of our, when we did this, we were openly disclosed everything. I mean, there was no hiding anything from what we were trying to do from day one, and very transparent. I think transparency was a big issue for us, and making sure that we were very providing all of our tax records of basically what it amounts to. I mean, we went full. I think we overdid it probably in hindsight, but I think it showed through in our application, and not only just application, but our interview process as well, when we actually had to go live in front of the commission and answer any questions that they had regarding our application or personal, professional life, or I even had my family show up. I mean, my wife and my son showed up there just because we wanted to represent in a positive way. I mean, that's kind of our thing. What you see is what you get.
So once you get the extraction, I'll call it, what do you do with it after that? You've got to convert it into some form of dispensing it, either by way of tincture, patch, topical ointment, gelatin, which I've failed to ask this question. I think I've asked it, but nobody's been able to answer. How did we end up with one flavor called peach?
I did ask that question.
Did you get an answer?
I did. I don't know if
it's a rumor. I cannot confirm or deny. It's just a rumor. That's all it is. So just for the record, rumor.
Share it with us.
Someone, let's just say administration. Let's say some administration.
Administration liked peach, and I think it was perceived that a lot of kids don't like peach.
So we were trying to keep controls on,
so it's not
children's accessibility to, like, my favorite flavor is cherry red.
Sure. So it's not like I guess you take one of those the gummy bears, or all different types of flavors and things like that. To more, that's a big deal to the AMCC, is to make sure this is not candy or catered to the minors as far as our the kids. That's a big deal. You can't do marketing of any kind that's catered to kids. Well, that's a big deal.
Are you involved in the packaging?
Yes.
Is that part of a processor's role?
Yes. Absolutely.
And the child-proof packaging and all that good stuff?
Yes, sir.
So just tell everyone what you do to make sure the comfort level is out there that this won't end up in the wrong person's hands.
Well, the packaging is an incredible important deal, and that's where the processor has its, I would say that the final seal of approval is making sure all of our packaging is in child-proof containers. Whether it's on the dispenser as far as a bottle is concerned, it could be a pouch that's concerned, a Mylar bag itself. All of it is intensive to be child-proof at the end of the day. And so it has to have that type of packaging, and then you label it, whatever you're trying to do as far as branding is concerned. But it has to be that child-proof packaging, whether it's a tincture, gum, or I should say a gelatinous cube. I can't say gummy, right? You can't say gummy, gelatinous cubinoid, or topical, or whatever you're trying to do. All the packaging is going to be childproof by design. And
the labeling of the package also should not be conducive to attract the attention of a child.
Correct. You should
not be benign.
Yes.
We are not trying to, or we're making sure our particular labels are not going to be, pushing the envelope inside of like a cartoon character of any kind. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see a Bugs Bunny or a Yosemite Sam or, a teddy bear on there, from a cartoon standpoint.
Do you assign a name to what you process and,
Absolutely.
and generate?
We do. We have our license number goes on there as a manufacturing
No,
standpoint.
I mean to the product. Is it called something, or will it just? Does it have like Jedi? I won't say it. You know what I'm talking about.
We will have, for instance, our particular products will have a brand name. I'm not sure I can disclose that at the moment.
You don't have to.
But it's going to be a brand name, and it will be where our manufacturer name will be on there. Organic Harvest Lab will be on every bottle or every container, every packaging that we manufacture. It will have our name and license number on there.
And every processor would be similarly situated.
I would say that they would have to have their license number. I don't know if they have to have their name on there on the particular bottle. I would assume they would, but I know by fact it has to have their license number on.
Do y'all talk to each other, fellow processors, or y'all sort of
is a good
in
community
this game together?
I think as far as good manufacturing practices, I think that's what's important because in our community, and I would say I can't speak of, I know the cultivators are great, I know the dispensaries are great, but as far as the processing, it's such an important role because obviously this is the finished product for patient care, right? So the idea is making sure that we do not compromise anything as far as on our product is concerned. And I think the MCC is very, very diligent with that, making sure that this program is successful.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember you in this conversation with another past host as far as the type of responsibility that we have is we don't take it for granted. And so we have a good community in our world for good manufacturing practices. And the idea is, when you were talking to Vince about the unlimited licensing, what can happen is you compromise on some of your SOPs because of cost. That's a very problematic thing as far as maybe in other programs. Is that, at the end of the day, it's the bottom line on some of these individuals where that's not our bottom line is not necessarily numbers. It's all about patient care, and we all have our own individual. I could tell you a story about why I'm actually in this medicine processing for myself. But I think it's a matter of the good community making sure our standards are higher than, say, compromising and being lower. Mm-hmm. So we are, in that sense, of making sure that we work with the AMCC for good manufacturing practices as far as what we're trying to do, best practices for the patient care. Obviously, you can tell I'm passionate about it, mm-hmm. but that's the bottom line, is that's patient care is paramount for our company to make sure that we have the high standards. And again, making sure our whole industry as a program moves forward as the AMCC is guiding the process.
This is a question for you, Doc. Are you back, when you're fiddling with the concoction, are you backing into what you're intending it to be used to treat specifically? Because there are a variety of things. The person with depression might want something different than the person with not necessarily anxiety. I'm not sure that's on the list, but the seizure issue. Something. They're not all one size fits all.
Sure.
So are you thinking in those terms when you're doing your chemistry?
Absolutely, and that's sort of what I was trying to talk about earlier when we were talking about all the different cannabinoids that make it up and the entourage effect that they have in it. Is how those cannabinoids interact together can have different effects on different people. So, and I gave the example earlier about if an oil has CBN, the cannabinoid CBN in it, and it's at a higher dosage. Well, to me, that's going to say, hey, that's probably for people that need help with sleep. Okay, and there's other cannabinoids also that can play that part. But I wanted to go back also to a question you had brought up about when people come into the lab and what they see, and the typical first thing that they see is the extraction vessel, and they're like, wow, that seems awfully small. How much can you extract? And the matter of the fact is, we can extract the entire needs of the state of Alabama in about 4 to 6 weeks worth of work.
I was going to ask you the timeline.
Yeah.
With one lab.
So with just one processing lab, you can extract that, and that's sort of how small the market is. And
we have four processors. So Alabama is well cared for on the processing side.
So those people out there, they're afraid they're going to be standing in line to get into the dispensary. They shouldn't have that as a real concern.
Well, the dispensaries, that might be a concern.
I would say, yeah, that would be the thing.
At least on the front end.
In our opinion, there's lots of cultivator licenses. There's plenty to go around for the state. For the 4 processors, I think Alabama is well taken care of. But with the dispensaries,
we're a little short-handed.
And you'd mentioned that it's concentrated
in South Alabama.
You said it yourself.
I said it just then too.
Yeah. There, you said it again.
And if you look at the map, you can see it.
We see a need for expansion. For not more licensing. I mean, there's plenty of licenses. We're just talking about the number of locations to open up,
so that the patients don't have to travel, multiple counties away to get their medicine.
Right.
And so, but as far as the processors, we can definitely oversaturate the state very fast.
Yeah, but you got to get the county or the municipality to enact the legislation to allow it. And there's some counties that's just not going to happen yet.
And that's their prerogative. As far as the community, but at the end of the day, I think that's more of a communication, more of a conversation piece as far as patient care at the end of the day. Because again, this is medical cannabis. It's not recreational.
So once you're finished with processing, is that biomass, the new word of the day that I've learned, is it then disposed of in some fashion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And that has to be accounted for too, I trust.
That's correct.
Is it of any use once you get through with it? Or is it just like an old Christmas tree, you can make sand dunes out of it?
Sure. At this time to start off, we would just be discarding ours. Yeah. There's a lot of good work out there, looking at other alternatives, to the waste biomass and the stalk itself. Heck, you had just mentioned earlier too about some genes, I believe, made from the fibers. So there's a lot of good work involved with that. We're just not big enough at this time to put a big focus on that.
Well, are you having an impact on the labor market? Now I'm talking not just your organization, but in the grand scheme of processing, let's call it that? Or is it just you two guys and a stainless steel tank and some ethanol?
Sounds like a good time.
Right. Well, initially, as you know, the market is going to be very small. But so the labor need is going to be small as well. And I would say that's across the board. But I think that over time, as the patient count continues to grow, you will see the labor force increase. Throughout the process, not only just for the processors, but also cultivators, and also the dispensaries as well.
Well, somebody's got to cut it. Got to cut it off the plant and get it to biomass to get to you.
Yeah,
they don't send you the root ball.
It doesn't just happen.
Now, back when I first was practicing law, they used to measure marijuana by weight, of course.
Sure.
But they throw the whole enchilada on the scale, and more weight means more problems.
Sure.
And we would argue, you're counting dirt and roots and stuff that is not even closely related to actual THC.
That's right.
But anyway, they don't make many marijuana cases anymore, unless it's large scale.
Sure.
And it's not like medicinal. It's, but with 40 plus states having laws that allow people access. Now, I have one listener that's particularly concerned about the cost at the end of the day to the patient. Are you familiar? Can you address that?
Well,
I mean, that's a dispensary question, actually, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, everybody
everything flows downhill. It's a trickle down.
At the end of the day, it is the user. Obviously, the cultivator has to, they have to cover their costs. And this is a long-term, I would say, a long-term marathon. It's not a short race. I think if you had the short race, then the cost would be prohibitive. Especially if you're trying to make up, as you said, a monumental amount of investment in the beginning. So we had a more of a longer-term thought process in our budget and in our fundamentals that we did. So what we did is making sure that we can keep a cost associated with this as low as possible to the inpatient at the end of the day. But what we think is there will be probably a lower cost, for a certain brand, and then there will be a higher end cost for a certain brand. My wife is pretty particular about, certain things that she eats. She's very, intolerant of certain additives in foods and things of that nature. So
she reads labels.
She is a big label person and understands
everybody should be, actually.
Well, and it's frustrating on my household because, I can eat anything. I can go
it's
from
not that you can eat, it's should you.
Well, that's a whole other marital discussion right there. But she is very organically oriented about her foods and things like that. And I had no idea how much more cost associated with that at the same time. So when I can go off the shelf and buy something cheap for myself and be perfectly happy, but she has to buy the high end, gluten-free, organic stuff for her diet because, her cancer that she had in the past. So she's very, very conscious about that. And so that is a higher end product. And as an end, it's a higher end product, higher cost to the user that wants that type of medicine versus, another person that, just can do whatever they want to as far as additives or whatever it is. They're not going to be sensitive to some of those ingredients from other medicine, whether it's a tincture or a gelatinous cubenoid or something like that. So that was important to me when I talked to Rusty when we set this up from the beginning is we got to have a particular brand that's going to be the high-end brand, and then we have to have something else, that can cater to it. So that was important to me.
I think you mentioned this, but we're starting to get to the end of the show. From biomass arriving to biomass being processed to biomass being sent back to the transporter to get it to the dispensary, what's a timeline there in a perfect world?
Sure.
Assuming no hiccups.
Absolutely. And
you're going to have some hiccups.
There will. There's always hiccups. Yeah.
Always hiccups.
And so,
accept, adapt, pivot.
You got yes.
Move fast and break things. Move fast and break things.
Yeah. So sometimes I used to say I had a motto called "fail fast," and then somebody reminded me I need to win every now and then.
My oldest brother gave me one was fail forward.
There you go.
Yes.
I see a lot of that going on. But as far as time wise, like I said, it doesn't take long to do the extraction of the biomass itself and get that oil. And then to distill that, and that we're just really talking 2 days, really maximum. And then once you have that oil, though, that golden oil, that goes into a freezer, and to keep it stable. And then we pull from that as the gelatinous cuboids or the tinctures are being made. Then we pull from that. So it really sort of depends upon a demand of the final product that's being put into that. But if you had an end goal, you're talking it's well less than 2 weeks to go from input to out.
Unlike getting something from Italy, which takes a couple of 3 months.
That's correct. Yes.
If they feel like it.
Yes. It's usually good quality, though. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Well, I appreciate you being here with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us that maybe I forgot to ask or didn't ask about what the future is for medical cannabis in Alabama?
Yeah, hopefully we branch out into more flavors besides peach, and more dispensaries, I think.
Right. I think at the end of the day, it's what the patient would need for them. The focus is patients. So whatever the end user or the end patient itself may need, whatever type of or whatever type of product that they need, will fill that demand, whatever that might be.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's a truly honor.
Thank you for saying that. This is the real truth, I hope.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And nothing but.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on The Real Truth. My name is Tommy Spina. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you will follow or subscribe to my podcast and listen in to the next episode. If you found it valuable, please take a moment to rate it and review it. It helps us to reach more listeners that care about the issues that matter. Share it with a friend. Stay engaged and remember, the truth matters. I'll see you next time.